Adalah gambar dari organen sel, yaitu organen sel sentriol yang dimiliki oleh sel hewan yang berperan untuk mengatur polaritas atau kutub pembelahan sel hewan dan mengatur pemisahan kromosom pada saat pembelahan sel itu terjadi. Ini adalah gambar dari bagian dari sentrosom yang tersusun dari mikrotubulus.
Belajar mengenai kloroplas dan mempelajari struktur dan fungsi dari kloroplas itu sendiri. Kloroplas adalah organel bermembran yang berperan sebagai pusat terjadinya fotosintesis. Organel ini hanya terdapat pada sel tumbuhan. Dalam setiap sel tumbuhan, kloroplas memiliki jumlah yang bervariasi sesuai dengan jenis tumbuhan atau organismenya. Misalnya pada alga, Chlamydomonas, dan Spirogyra, dalam setiap selnya terdapat jumlah kloroplas yang konstan. Tetapi pada tumbuhan tingkat tinggi, kloroplas dalam setiap selnya memiliki jumlah yang berbeda-beda, yaitu sebanyak 30 hingga 200 kloroplas. Pada sel tumbuhan, kloroplas biasanya dijumpai dengan bentuk cakram dengan diameter 2-4 mikrometer, dengan panjang 5-10 mikrometer. Kloroplas memiliki bentuk yang berbeda-beda, bergantung pada organismenya. Kloroplas pada Chlorella berbentuk seperti piringan, pada Chlamydomonas berbentuk seperti mangkok. Ada pula yang berbentuk pita spiral, misalnya pada Spirogyra, berbentuk bintang, misalnya pada Cycnema, dan pada tumbuhan tingkat tinggi berbentuk seperti bola atau telur. Seperti kebanyakan organel pada sel eukariotik, kloroplas terdiri dari dua lapis membran, yaitu membran luar dan membran dalam. Membran luar berbentuk seperti cakram, bersifat permeabel, atau dapat dilalui oleh semua zat. Sedangkan membran bagian dalam bersifat selektif permeabel, atau hanya dapat dilewati sebagian molekul. Pada membran dalam terdapat molekul transport yang melekat seperti protein integral, sebagai tempat keluar masuknya glukosa. Pada bagian dalam terdapat stroma yang membungkus cairan kloroplas. Cairan kloroplas mengandung banyak enzim, DNA plastid, RNA, dan ribosom. Pada stroma juga ditemukan membran lain yang disebut membran tilakoid. Membran-membran yang ada pada kloroplas ini memisahkan organel kloroplas menjadi 3 bagian penting. Pertama adalah ruang antar membran, yang memisahkan membran luar dan membran dalam kloroplas. Kedua adalah stroma, yang berada di dalam membran dalam, tetapi berada di luar membran tilakoid. Dan yang ketiga adalah lumen tilakoid. Membran tilakoid saling berhubungan satu sama lain, membentuk cakram bertumpuk yang disebut grana. Setiap membran tilakoid disebut thread membran. Grana dihubungkan antara satu dengan yang lainnya oleh saluran yang dinamakan saluran lamella intergrana. Setiap kloroplas memiliki 10 hingga 30 grana, dengan setiap grana tersusun atas 20 hingga 60 tumpukan. Membran tilakoid disusun atas 20% hingga 30% lipid, dan 70 hingga 80% protein. Dan juga ditemukan partikel yang melekat pada membrannya. Partikel-partikel ini disebut quantasomes. Quantasomes berfungsi menangkap energi foton dari cahaya matahari dan berperan sebagai unit fotosintesis. Granula yang besar disebut fotosistem 2 atau PS2, dan granula yang kecil disebut fotosistem 1 atau PS1. Dalam saluran lamella integrana hanya terdapat fotosistem 1. Pada tilakoid ditemukan pigmen fotosintetik, yaitu pigmen berwarna hijau, klorofil A, klorofil B, dan keratinoid atau pigmen merah. Karena adanya ketiga membran ini menjadikan kloroplas menjadi sistem yang paling kompleks dibandingkan organel lain dalam sel organisme. Demikianlah video singkat mengenai struktur kloroplas. Semoga video ini bermanfaat buat kamu.
merupakan jejaring yang mengorganisasikan struktur dari aktivitas di dalam sel. Pada awal perkembangan biologi sel, ilmuwan meyakini bahwa organel terapung bebas di dalam sitoplasma. Namun, seiring dengan perkembangan teknik mikroskopi elektron, diketahui adanya jejaring serabut yang tersebar di dalam sitoplasma. Sitoskeleton yang akan dibahas berfokus pada sitoskeleton pada organisme eukariot. Sitoskeleton eukariotik memainkan peran utama dalam mengatur struktur dari aktivitas sel yang terdiri dari 3 jenis struktur molekul, yaitu mikrotubulus, mikrofilamen, dan juga filamen intermediate. Nah, pada gambar di samping kalian dapat melihat bagaimana struktur dari sitoskeleton yang ada di dalam suatu sel eukariotik. Nah, gambar tersebut ditunjukkan dalam mikrograf fluoresensi yang menunjukkan perbedaan tipe dari masing-masing sitoskeleton. Peranan sitoskeleton. Sitoskeleton berperan menyokong sel secara mekanis atau memberikan support pada suatu sel, menjaga bentuk sel maupun dalam proses motilitas atau pergerakan pada sel. Keberadaan sitoskeleton juga sangat penting terutama pada sel hewan yang tidak memiliki dinding sel. Sitoskeleton bisa memiliki struktur yang sangat kuat berkaitan dengan susunannya. Sitoskeleton pada sel hewan selain membantu menetapkan posisi bagian-bagian tubuh, juga berperan sebagai tempat melekatnya banyak organel dan juga enzim untuk metabolisme sitosolik. Sitoskeleton bersifat sangat dinamis, dapat terurai, dan juga tersusun kembali pada berbagai lokasi di dalam sel. Pergerakan pada sel juga ada yang melibatkan sitoskeleton. Pergerakan bagian dalam sel memerlukan interaksi antara sitoskeleton dengan protein khusus yang disebut dengan protein motor. Contoh pergerakan pada sel yaitu vesikel yang berisi neurotransmitter yang berpindah dari badan sel ke ujung akson pada sel saraf. Susunan sitoskeleton juga mengubah kondisi membran plasma, misalnya dalam proses pelekukan membran sel selama pembentukan vakuola makanan ataupun pembentukan vesikel fagositik. Nah, di gambar berikut kalian bisa melihat bagaimana suatu vesikel bergerak di dalam sebuah sel. Nah, dia dibantu oleh protein khusus yang disebut dengan protein motor dan bergerak di sepanjang filamen mikrotubul. Kita lanjut pada pembahasan mengenai komponen sitoskeleton. Ada 3 tipe utama serabut yang menyusun sitoskeleton. Yang pertama adalah mikrotubula. Mikrotubula disebut juga sitoskeleton yang paling tebal. Yang kedua adalah mikrofilamen atau filamen aktin, yaitu sitoskeleton yang paling tipis. Dan yang ketiga adalah filamen intermediate, yaitu sitoskeleton berbentuk serabut yang berukuran sedang.
Which is present only in plant cell and euglenoids, but absent in animal cell. Guess the name of the organelle? Yes, you are right. Today's Science Circle will discuss about plastids. In this video, we will be discussing about the definition, the types of plastid, its function, and the structure of chloroplast. So without delay and skipping the video, please watch till the end. Let's see what is the definition of plastid. Plastids are double membrane organelle that is found in the cells of the plants and algae. Plastids are generally responsible for manufacturing and storing of food. These often contain the pigments that are used in photosynthesis and different type of pigments that can change the color of the cell. Plastids are generally bigger in size, so it can be easily seen under microscope. The plastids were first discovered by E. Haeckel. They bear some specific pigments, thus imparting specific colors to the plant. Based on the type of pigments a plastid is containing, we differentiate into 3 main categories, that is chloroplast, chromoplast and leucoplast. Chloroplasts are biconvex shaped, semiporous double membrane cell organelle which is found in the mesophyll of a plant cell. They are the basic sites for synthesizing food during the process of photosynthesis. They contain chlorophyll and carotenoid pigments which is responsible for trapping light energy essential for photosynthesis. In chromoplast, we will be seeing it is present usually in the flowering plants, aging leaves and fruits. Chromoplast is a converted form of chloroplast. Chromoplasts have carotenoid pigments that allow different colors that you see in leaves and fruits. The main reason for its color is for attracting pollinators. Other than carotenoid pigments, xanthophyll can also be present. This gives a part of a plant yellow, orange or red color. Third type which we are having, that is the leucoplast. They are non-pigmented organelle which is colorless. It is usually found in the non-photosynthetic parts of the plants like roots. They act as a storage shades for starch, lipids and protein depending on the needs of the plant. Leucoplasts are of three types: amyloplast, aleuroplast and elaioplast. Amyloplast is greatest among all the three and which is helping in storing of starch. Aleuroplast, which is helping in storing of proteins that a plant need and can be typically found in seeds. Elaioplast is helping in storing of fat and oils that are needed by a plant. Now let's discuss about the structure of chloroplast in details. Number of chloroplasts varies widely in different plants. In Chlamydomonas, a single chloroplast is present, whereas in Spirogyra it ranges from 1 to 14. But in higher plants, the number of chloroplasts varies from cell to cell. Each cell may have 30 to 200 chloroplasts. Again, the shape of the chloroplast will also vary from plant to plant. It is generally 4 to 5 micrometer in size. Plants growing in shade have larger chloroplast in their cells than that of the growing in the intense light. There are different shapes of chloroplast, as like plate shape will be observed in Chlorella, cup shaped or she-shaped will be observed in Chlamydomonas, ribbon shaped in Spirogyra, star shaped in Gymnema, reticulate shaped in Odogynium, griddle shaped in Eulothrix. In higher plants it is generally spherical or ovoidal. Chloroplast is a double membrane structure and its parts includes inner membrane, outer membrane, intermembrane space, stroma and thylakoid membrane. Chloroplast has two membranes, namely outer membrane and inner membrane. The outer membrane permits the movement of ions and metabolites, whereas inner membrane is highly specialized with the transport of proteins. Both of these membranes are phospholipid layers, which is measuring from 6 to 8 nanometer in thickness. The two membranes are separated by a gap which is known as intermembrane space. Each chloroplast has two definite regions, namely stroma and grana, which we will be learning in details. The space limited by the inner membrane of the chloroplast is called stroma. Stroma is a colorless, alkaline, aqueous, protein-rich fluid present within the inner membrane of the chloroplast and which is surrounding the grana. Stroma also contain enzymes which is required for the synthesis of carbohydrates and proteins. It is also containing a small double-stranded circular DNA molecules and ribosomes. Now you may be wondering, where is the chlorophyll pigment present? The chlorophyll pigment is present within the thylakoids. A number of organized flattened membranous sacs called the thylakoids are present in the stroma, as you can see in the picture. In addition, there are flat membranous tubules called the stroma lamellae, which is connecting the thylakoids of different grana. The membrane of the thylakoids enclose a space called as lumen. The main function of the thylakoid system is the light dependent reactions to be performed here during photosynthesis process. Thylakoids are arranged in stacks like piles of coins called grana, in singular which we say as granum, or the intergranular thylakoid, and each granum contains around 10 to 20 thylakoids. Hope you have understood the structure of the chloroplast, the types of the...
Welcome to Cell Clips. In this video, we will be focusing on microtubules, one of the three main types of cytoskeletal elements. The cytoskeleton has a wide range of functions, such as establishing cell shape, forming adhesions, and assisting in cell movement. Microtubules specifically form cilia and flagella to assist in cell locomotion, and spindle fibers to help separate DNA during mitosis and meiosis. Now, let's take a look at some of the structural features of microtubules. Microtubules are about 25 nanometers thick, making them the thickest and most rigid form of cytoskeletal element. They're composed of two different tubulin monomers called alpha and beta tubulin. Microtubules will self-assemble in vitro. Assembly begins when these two monomers bind together to form a dimer. Then, in a rate-limiting step called nucleation, several dimers bind together forming a hollow ring called the microtubule seed. The dimers align so that all the alpha tubulin tails are on one side, called the minus end, and all the beta tubulin heads are at the other,
called the plus end. Once the seed has formed, more dimers can quickly stack onto the ring from either side. However, for reasons that we will explain later, the microtubules in our cells generally lengthen only from the plus end. The dimers assemble in a spiral formation that layers on top of the plus end of the seed. Each added dimer lengthens the spiral until it becomes a long, hollow tube. While each additional dimer is added to the side of the previous one to continue the spiral, beta tubulin heads and alpha tubulin tails also associate in linear columns called protofilaments. Microtubules generally have 13 protofilaments surrounding a hollow core. On its own, microtubule assembly is much too slow to be effective. That's why in our cells we have microtubule organizing centers to help speed things up. These organizing centers use a third type of tubulin, called gamma tubulin. Several gamma tubulin monomers, plus some accessory proteins, bind together to form gamma tubulin ring complexes. This ring serves the exact same purpose as the microtubule seed by providing a place for microtubules to assemble. The gamma tubulin ring complex speeds up assembly because it bypasses the rate-limiting step of nucleation. This time, however, assembly only occurs at the plus end because the gamma tubulin ring remains at the minus end, blocking the addition of new dimers. As a result, polymerization happens much faster at microtubule organizing centers than anywhere else in the cell. Now let's take a closer look at the two main types of microtubule organizing centers: centrosomes found near the nucleus and basal bodies found at the cell membrane. Basal bodies are the nucleation site for cilia and flagella. Here, microtubules are assembled and arranged in a very specific pattern. First, two microtubules, one with 13 protofilaments and another with 10 or 11 protofilaments, link together to form a doublet. Then, 9 of these doublets come together to form a ring surrounding 2 more microtubules, each with 13 protofilaments. Once the basal body has established this 9+2 structure, it can extend to create cilia and flagella. The second main type of microtubule organizing center is the centrosome. Each centrosome contains 2 centrioles surrounded by pericentriolar material. This material is rich in gamma tubulin, providing templates for microtubule assembly. The centrioles themselves are composed primarily of microtubules arranged in a specific pattern. In this case, 3 microtubules come together to form a triplet. Each triplet contains 1 microtubule with 13 protofilaments and 2 microtubules with 10 protofilaments. 9 of these triplets come together to form a hollow ring. The 9+0 arrangement creates a single centriole, and there are typically 2 centrioles in a centrosome. During cell division, the centrosome organizes spindle fiber assembly. The microtubules of spindle fibers must lengthen to bind chromosomes and then shorten to pull the 2 chromatids apart. As you can see, the lengthening and shortening of microtubules must be a dynamic process. So how is this process regulated? In short, the answer is small GTPases. But let's walk through step by step to see how this process works. Both the alpha and beta tubulin components of microtubules can bind GTP. However, alpha tubulin is always GTP bound, while beta tubulin can hydrolyze GTP to GDP. During assembly, the only dimers that get added to the plus end are those with GTP-bound beta tubulin. GTP-bound dimers form strong bonds that don't easily break. This means that when dimers are being added, the plus end is very stable. As beta tubulin gradually hydrolyzes GTP, the tubulin binding interactions become weak and easier to break. If all the beta tubulin at the plus end has hydrolyzed GTP, the microtubule begins to fall apart in a process called catastrophe. Addition of more GTP-bound dimers stabilizes the filament again in a process called rescue. Since the rate of GTP hydrolysis is fairly constant, the transition between catastrophe and rescue is controlled primarily by the rate of addition. Specifically, catastrophe happens when the rate of addition is slower than the rate of hydrolysis, and rescue occurs when the rate of addition is faster than the rate of hydrolysis. The rate of addition is regulated by microtubule-associated proteins, or MAPs. For example, XMAP215 binds the plus end of microtubules to catalyze addition. Stability of the plus end is also important. Kinesin 13 binds and destabilizes the plus end, causing catastrophe even when there are GTP-bound tubulin dimers present. These proteins help regulate the lengthening and shortening of microtubules for specific cell processes. So to sum up, microtubules are thick, rigid filaments involved in cellular transport and division. They are composed of alpha and beta tubulin monomers. Two monomers come together in a dimer. Several dimers assemble into rings, and rings grow in a spiral, eventually forming long, hollow filaments. On its own, microtubule assembly occurs very slowly, so most microtubules originate from microtubule organizing centers. These centers contain gamma-tubulin ring complexes which bypass nucleation to speed up assembly. There are two types of organizing centers: basal bodies, where cilia and flagella originate, and centrosomes, where spindle fibers and other cytoskeletal microtubules form. Tubulin bound to GTP forms stable binding interaction, while GTP hydrolysis by beta tubulin at the plus end destabilizes the microtubule. Thus, lengthening occurs when the rate of addition is faster than the rate of GTP hydrolysis, and catastrophe occurs when the rate of addition is slower than the rate of hydrolysis. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching Cell Clips.